What do you got going for Thanksgiving? What are you eating? Where are you going?
Well, currently right now I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I left Jupiter, Florida yesterday in the afternoon, drove up, stopped in Raleigh, obviously went to college at NC State, which is in Raleigh. So I'm about to have a little brunch with my girlfriend, my dog, and my former college coach, Elliot Avent, who's still the coach there at NC State. So
Nice.
we're about to have a little brunch and then see a couple people, see a couple friends, and then mosey on back up to Richmond, about a 3-hour drive.
Now, we just had an MMA guy in here yesterday as a guest, a young guy, up and coming, and all of us said, that guy reminds us of Knizner.
Oh, my God.
He looked like you. He talked like you. He's really upbeat, like that positive energy that you bring. So one of his things was his diet. He's crazy about his diet. So I was wondering, how crazy is Knizner about what he puts in his body in terms of food and sustenance?
Well, real quick, when you were saying all the similarities between me and the young MMA fighter, you forgot equal level of toughness.
Yeah, that's right.
Left that out. So make sure you throw that in next time. But as far as my diet, I do try to do the best I can with eating healthy, but at the same time, I'm not fighting another human in an octagon, so I don't have to be absolutely shredded up. My position for my job, I need to have a little bit of extra weight because of all those midsummer games in St. Louis. It gets really hot, so I need to be able to keep my weight on. So it's more about just maintaining a healthy weight more so than my diet. But I can change my diet based on if I'm getting maybe a little too skinny or a little too bulky. I'm able to, adjust. I've really never had problems my whole life with diet. I've always eaten good and eaten healthy for the most part. I just believe everything in moderation is pretty good. It's a pretty good baseline. So I'm not like a freak about it, but I also wouldn't say I don't think about it at all.
What's the one food that's your weakness, the one food that maybe you go overboard on because you can't help yourself?
Jeez. Well, that's my problem is I like everything, and a lot about my diet is portion control because I do like to eat, and it's just a matter of not stuffing my face full of every single meal that I have. But, I'm not a picky eater. I eat everything. I try everything. But, any sweets, any sort of ice cream, candy, chips, snack food, I love snacking. So, especially in the off season, I try to snack healthier, maybe do like apples and peanut butter or something like that. But I do love snack food.
So let's do the Hack Radio Thanksgiving question. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
I like it.
My grandmother does all the cooking for Thanksgiving, and she, to this day, makes the best deviled eggs I've ever had. It's hands down, Nanny makes the best deviled eggs, and I look forward to going to my grandmother's house every time because she always has deviled eggs there waiting for me, no matter if it's Thanksgiving or whenever. But she makes the best deviled eggs. Also, she makes the best pound cake I've ever had. So we always have that for dessert, and she always gives me something to go. So as far as a side dish and a dessert, she's top notch.
Hey, during the season, like I remember having to, every time we go to practice, except for on a game day in hockey, like we get weighed in. And if you're 2 pounds overweight, like you're in panic mode. If you know you're a little heavy, like I'd starve myself in the morning before the weigh-in. Oh yeah, torture yourself or whatever. Like, do they do that? Like in baseball, one of maybe the trainers come up to you and kind of notice that you're putting on some lbs. Like, do they weigh you in? Are they concerned about that, or is it just like you're playing every damn day? It's just whatever you're doing on the field is all that matters.
Yeah, I think it's not quite as serious, but we do check-ins on the Sika machine, which is like a body composition calculator.
Yeah.
So it's this thing you guys have probably all seen different variations of it, but it checks our body composition to see where our muscle mass levels are. Obviously, it gets your weight. It also gets hydration levels, which is important too. So we usually do that, I would say, pretty much every like Sunday day game at home, which is usually twice, maybe 3 times, probably more consistently twice a month. We get these get these levels just to check and make sure that, nobody's making any drastic changes. Obviously, it's a long season playing every day. You're going to lose a little bit of muscle mass because you're not able to lift as much. But, we're just, you just look at what's going up, what's going down, and how can you try to improve that over the course of the season.
Kiz, I've known you for a little while now, and I would say you probably realize at this point I'm not going to ask great questions.
No.
But that I will follow every single rule, and you will never see me wandering in areas that are not access to the media. Mm-hmm. So that's not true. But I don't go in the lounge because that's where I would get chirped big time, the little food room. So I haven't seen it in a year, maybe 2 years. But there used to be peanut M&Ms back there, potato chips, all kind of stuff that's not. I don't know if they changed that. But I remember talking to a couple of guys, and they said, one of the biggest challenges about baseball, because there's a lot of downtime for certain positions, maybe not catcher, but you just go, and next thing you know, you're eating stuff when you're not even hungry, and all of a sudden you're 5 pounds over. My question is, give us a peek behind the scenes at what's available for the players, and do you have some nice treats back there?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple points. First thing is our snacks have definitely gotten healthier, at least since 2019 when I got called up, because we did have a bunch of candy and things like that, peanut M&Ms, but now it's all healthier candy. You're absolutely right when it comes to eating out of boredom. There is always food available, and it's good food. Our chefs do a really good job of cooking and making things that are healthy, tasty, and so you do find yourself eating maybe a little bit more than you should. But like I said, it's a long season, and depending on how your weight goals are, you may need to put on weight. But we do have a lot of food available. It's kind of a running joke. Obviously, going through the minor leagues, you don't quite eat as well as you do in the big leagues. So when young guys do get called up, they do usually put weight on because there's so much good food available that they eat because they're not used to having that much good food during the season. So it's kind of a running joke of, it's like the freshman 15 in college. It's kind of like the same thing when you get called up from the minor leagues. It's funny. But we do have good food. The chefs do a great job. There's always meals. We have an arrival meal when we show up to the field. We have a pre-batting practice meal, and then we have a post-batting practice meal, and then have a meal after the game as well. So, like I said, good food all the time. They do a really good job, and each year it gets better and better.
Because I always wonder about this, kind of the balance in the off season of training and staying sharp, but also trying to rest your body after a long baseball season. And it seems like back in the day, I mean, guys would joke about back in the day, you'd show up to spring training 20 pounds overweight, and the goal was to get in shape during spring training, in the 70s and all that. And now that's clearly not the case. We've been down there covering spring training where you guys are taking live BP off pitchers essentially day one when the position players are there. Do you ever wonder if athletes nowadays train too much? You wonder if the body would respond better if you almost kind of just took that 2 or 3 months and rested?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good point you make. I think everybody's different, and I think that's the way the game's going, is that players nowadays have so much technology, so much information, and so much testing that they're able to understand how much time they should take off, and then when they should start up, and then how much they should do to ramp up for spring training. I do believe for most players nowadays, since everybody's kind of fighting for a job because there's so few spots, and there are guys that have long-term deals. If you're a guy not on a long-term deal, you have to show up in spring training ready to compete for a job, because the game's getting more competitive each and every year, and there's so many people coming for the job that you had the previous year. So I think that's the push on why guys are training harder and harder, because the game is just getting more competitive and it's getting bigger. So I think, at least in my opinion, I feel like I always have to be 100% ready to go day one of spring training like it's game one of the season, because you're fighting for your job out there, and that's just the way the game is.
I feel the same way about coming in to do the show at Hot Take Central. That's why I'm in peak condition. So one of your teammates, Paul Goldschmidt, who I'm a big fan of, I'm I'm a Goldie honk. There's no question about it. Just won National League MVP. And I thought we had a chance to talk to him that night, and he gave credit to, like, his Little League coach, the lunch lady when he was in 5th grade, pretty much everyone, to make it not about him. But he said something about Nolan Arenado, which I thought was really cool. He said that's the first guy that he texted when he won it, and he talks to him every day. And he said, I would not have won this award without him because of the way he's helped me on and off the field and the way he pushes me, and I want everyone to know it. So my question is, because Goldie, I see him around you guys at the batting cage, in the clubhouse, joking around with his teammates. What's he like? What's his persona when the media's not around and it's just you guys?
I think what you see from Goldie is very consistent as far as his personality. So the way he is when you see him doing an interview on MLB Network, or if he's talking to fans, how he's acting, he's the ultimate professional. He's the same guy on the field. He's the same guy off the field. He really is, I could probably say this with probably pretty much certainty, probably the ultimate teammate and the ultimate leader. It's the guy you want in the clubhouse year in and year out, leading your team, which he's done, not only for us, but he did for Arizona as well. You really can't say enough good things about him because he is just unbelievable, and we're lucky to have him.
So, Kiz, the Cardinals, you guys, non-tender Alex Reyes, and this is a guy we've been talking about for going on 10 years. Obviously, when he's healthy, he's got unbelievable stuff, and going back to really 2017, just has had a ton of injuries. He was an all-star last year. Just what do you think about that? And when you've caught him over the years, when this guy's on and healthy, he's so nasty, but just a litany of injuries over the years.
Yeah, definitely it's tough with the injuries. When you're not healthy, you're constantly battling to get healthy, and it's hard to do. It's really hard to do, especially when you're talking about an arm that's throwing a ball 100+ miles an hour. There's so much going on in there, and it's moving so fast. So to get your arm and get everything fully healthy does take some time. Obviously him getting non-tendered, he's got, probably some of the best stuff in the game of baseball. But like you said, with the injuries and different things like that have kind of slowed down his career in a way. I think obviously he's going to sign with somebody. I don't know if the Cardinals just re-sign him at a lower contract value, because obviously we would love to have him. And I think if he does sign back with St. Louis, that he could be a big part of our team next year, because like you said, when he's on and when he's healthy, he is really, really, really good. He was an all-star in 2021. So that right there shows you how good he is and how good he can be. I just hope that obviously he gets healthy and gets an opportunity, whether it's with us or with somebody, to go out there day in and day out and be the pitcher he can be.
And there's no question, based on how he's been able to fight through everything, he's going to keep fighting. So we wish him the best, because he is a really talented and wonderful guy. Before we let you go, I'm a journalist, and I think the news peg out of the whole thing is that your favorite Thanksgiving dish is deviled eggs, right? And did you say your who makes those? Grandma?
My grandma, Nanny.
Nanny. Okay, that's newsy.
I had a Nana.
That's newsy. I had a Nana, too. All right, Kiz, thanks, buddy.
Hey, Kiz, tell little Luna, my little Luna said hi, by the way, just so you know.
Will do. I'll let her know.
Right on, buddy. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy Thanksgiving. See you, bud.
Thanks, Kiz.
All right, happy Thanksgiving. See you guys.
See you, buddy.
You too.
Andrew Knizner.
Thank you.
Great guy.
He is.
Great guy. I know. Sorry, Hulk Hogan's fanny pack wanted me to ask him about do players go out often after a game on the road, or they eat in the clubhouse? I think we asked him that, and I think he said that if it's a day game, then they probably would, unless they're traveling. But if it's nighttime, it's like 11 o'clock at night, it's tough to go. I think they just probably eat in the clubhouse for the most part.
Yeah, and I see a lot of them take out bags from the clubhouse. But I'm telling you, if it's a day game, a lot of them they'll have team dinners and stuff.
Yeah, that's
like
your
that.
Bonding time, And then, of course, somebody.
Well, that one time though, Marcelo Zuna, he showed up kind of on. On game time for that day game, remember?
It happens.
Yeah.
So I'm just guessing he may have went out
No.
the night before.
No way.
Usually, look, If you show up 3 hours early and you show up 15 minutes late, meaning you're 2 hours and 45 minutes early, I think the team understands that. But if you show up at first pitch in the major
ridiculous.
leagues, that's kind of
Well,
something.
how long are they supposed to show up? Like,
But you know how it is. These guys show up. They show up at 3:30.
but there's still a time that they give you that you have to be there for meetings and stuff.
No, he showed up at game time.
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous.
This happened about 4 years ago.